morning, students. Today, we have to resume Jar and Puma. Jar, Nicholas. Second, dismissed Puma. First time within 75 days, second time within 3 months. And he had changed the voting laws, opened a path for the conservatives who were his supporters, and packed all the wage for the liberals and nationalists. What happened thereafter? That time, First World War was underway, going on. In 1914, the First World War started. Russia was also involved in the leadership of Russia. The leadership of Tsar Nicholas was involved in the war. For the liberals and the nationalists or communists, socialists didn't want to be a part of the world war. Russia, along with other countries, had already lost a lot. There was so much damage of lives and property. So the nationalists didn't want to be involved in the war. Jar, on the other hand, was interested. Many a time, Jar was advised to withdraw his support, his estates from the war. He was not ready. Germany, Austria, and Turkey were the parts of Central Powers. France, Britain, Russia, Italy, and later are the parts of Axis powers. You will find that later or in the middle of Russia had a sweet relationship, promoted a sweet relationship with Germany. Actually, Germany caused a great damage for Russia. Almost defeated Russia, German army. However, there were some persons, some Russians supporting Tsar to be involved in the war. There was a tussle between two sides over different issues, and the First World War was one of them. As I told you, German army defeated the Russian army. It was very shocking for Russia. It was a great loss, not only for life and property, but also for fame, for prestige. It is said that by 1917, 7,070,000 Russian casualties were experienced. How damaging the war for Russia was, you can imagine. About 70 lakh Russian soldiers and civilians either killed or injured. So huge was the damage. It was like a curse for Russia. Even then, Tsar was not interested in withdrawing his country. Obviously, he was responsible for the loss. After defeating the Russian army, listen to me. Crops were destroyed. Own crops on the Russian land were destroyed by the Russians themselves. खुद उन्होंने फसलों को नुकसान पहुंचाया. Buildings were also ruined, so that German soldiers might not get any shelter, so that they might not get food, so that they might die of hunger. It was the objective aim of the Russians. As a result, there were as many as 3 million refugees in Russia. 30 lakh extra load. It was a dishonor for not only the Tsar but also the Russian government. What was the impact of the war? What was the effect of the war? Impact of the war. First, industries ruined. Supply disturbed. labor shortage. Food scarcity. And finally, rights start. None of the mentioned things or points is positive. Supply of necessary things, either in the form of raw materials or other products, ready-made products, disturbed completely. There was a shortage of labor and it affected the Russian economy badly. There was a scarcity, lack of food. The people were on the verge of starvation. They were cursed to die because of hunger. And so restless were the people, so huge were the hardships, difficulties, problems for the people that they started riots. There was a bloodshed in Russia. Now come on the next point. February Revolution. In Petrograd. But this place used to be the capital city of Russia. What happened in February there? Let's have a look. First, 22nd of February 1917. A lockout took place at a factory. There was a factory located at the river named Neva. And the workers of that factory declared lockout, a strike. And therefore, in support of the workers working in that factory, 50 other factories came forward to support the workers, to support the strike called by that particular fact. एक्टिव वर्कर्स थे जहां हड़ताल शुरू हुई थी, उनके समर्थन में 50 और फैक्ट्री में कार्यरत वर्कर्स उनके सपोर्ट में आ गए। उन्होंने भी हड़ताल की घोषणा कर दी। It was an act of sympathy for the workers working in that factory. Even women supported the strike. And since women, the women on a large scale supported the strike, it was the 23rd of February. That day was declared to be the International Women's Day. 23rd of February. Meanwhile, the king and the Jar also took some steps. In fact, workers crossed the river and on both sides of the river Neva, located were the buildings and factories. One side factories, other side buildings of the officials and the king also. The workers tried to cross the river and to surround the buildings, the palace of the government, officials, king. They were dispersed by the guards, by the police and military. But again, they gathered. Again, they surrounded those buildings, exerting pressure. Government to do something unique. So, in reaction, the king suspended Duma. Duma was the parliament of Russia. Duma was suspended. On the 25th of February 1970. So what were the consequences when this step was taken by the king? The strikes, demonstrations by the workers were actions, and suspension of Duma was the reaction. Now, the suspension of Duma became an action, and the steps taken by liberals, socialists, and others were reaction. What were the consequences? Results against the suspension of Duma by the king. क्या हुआ जब ड्यूमा को जब सस्पेंड किया गया इसके विरोध में? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल It was not tolerable for the politicians. It was considered to be a wrong step. Demonstration started here and there against the step taken by the Tsar. Demonstrations by the workers, by the socialists, by the liberals started across the country. Third, the demonstrators surrounded the police headquarters. Fourth, demands put forward. I mean, the workers demanded their rights before the officers, before the government. And what were the demands of the workers? For better living condition, for less working hours, more wages, sympathy towards them. These were the demands. And democracy also, they wanted to work under a democratic system, not aristocratic system, not under a despotic monarch, a dictator monarch. It was not tolerable, bearable for them. So such demands were put forward by the workers. The situation was grievous. The king, the Tsar, was compelled to call the army to suppress, to oppress such demonstrations and revolts. But surprisingly and shockingly for the king, the military refused to open fire. They were not ready. What can a king, a president, a prime minister do without getting the help of military, without getting the help of police? A king is nothing without force. There was no option for the king. He was in a fix. देहरादून में था, शब्द था कि उसके सुरक्षाकर्मी, उसकी सेना गोली चलाने के लिए तैयार नहीं है जनता को। Meanwhile, the aggression of the workers was on. And that's why an officer was killed by the demonstrators. प्रदर्शनकारियों ने एक ऑफिसर को गोली मारी. An officer was shot dead. And instead of joining the monarch, helping the king, the regiments, I mean soldiers, army, joined the workers. They supported the workers, not the king. सेना साथ हो गई कामगारों के, प्रदर्शनकारियों के, उनको सपोर्ट कर रही. And finally, Soviet as we have parliament, as we have assembly, as we have big organization. So in Soviet, a Soviet was formed. Soviet is a kind of council, Soviet or council. You can say assembly. Was formed, providing representation to all the involved communities, organizations, the strike, demonstration, etc. राजा के खिलाफ विद्रोह में, प्रदर्शन में जिन जिन समुदाय संगठन के लोग शामिल थे, उनके प्रतिनिधियों को इस काउंसिल में, सोवियत में जगह मिली. A delegation of some members saw the Tsar. I mean, went there to have a talk. There was an utter pressure over the Tsar, so finally he resigned. Tsar resigned. On 2nd March 1970. Due to heavy pressure by the demonstrators, Tsar resigned. And there was no other option because army was also in the support of, in favor of the demonstrators. And after the resignation of Tsar, a provisional government formed in Russia. And this government decided to form or to draft a constitution for the country. Earlier there was no constitution. The king himself was constitution for the country. First, a constituent assembly to draft the constitution. And on universal adult suffrage, it was decided that all men of age 21 or more would be provided right to vote. And in this way, monarchy came to an end in Russia. the Russians observed many ups and downs in their country. Not only the Russians, but also almost all the Europeans, some part of Russia, that time some part of Russia was in Europe and some part in Asia. So it was considered to be in both the continents. What happened after February? Provisional government and its functions. Formation. Government was formed with the help of army officials. Some army officials were also a part of the provisional government. Land owners, landlords were the part, industrialists, in the formation of the provisional government, army officials, landowners, industrialists played an important role. There was a major role of these personalities in the formation of the provisional government. Liberals, earlier, as long as the Tsar remained the ruler of Russia, he had imposed ban on public meetings and the formation of associations. But the provisional government removed such restrictions. Restrictions on public meetings and associations. It means they began to function once again without any barrier, without any difficulty. Liberals and socialists wanted great many changes in Russia. They were working for elected government. They didn't like provisional government. They wanted pure elected government representing all the sections of the Russians. It was their motto. It was their thinking. When the Tsar resigned, there was a favorable condition, circumstance for Lenin to come back to Russia. I have to remind you that Lenin was a great personality. He was a revolutionary, was a socialist or a communist leader. He had been exiled by the Tsar. उसको देश निकाला हो गया था, देश से बाहर कर दिया गया. But observing the condition favorable, he came back and he had leading capacity. He wanted to be the leader of the Russians, and he did later on. So he came back to Russia. In April 1917, he came back. He opposed war. Actually, such personalities, such elements, such Russian elements had been opposing war since 1914. But they could do nothing. However, when Lenin found the condition favorable, he once again proposed to withdraw Russia from war. And he gave a thesis, which is known as April thesis. Very much important. What is April thesis? April thesis by Lenin. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. First, crossing war. It was his proposal that Russia must close or must withdraw from the war. Land to the peasants. In Russia, mostly the land was owned by the landlords, by the nobles, by the churches. So he demanded that the land must be transferred among the peasants. And the nationalization of land these were the three demands, proposals known as April thesis. It was produced by Lenin, so it is known as Lenin thesis also. Now, workers' movement and effect. Workers became active now. Once again, workers became active. Earlier, they were passive. They were not interested because they were constantly being crushed, exploited by the industrialists, and no intention was paid by the government. So they were not active. Later on, they became active. Once again, production started the factory. Committees were formed, different kinds of committees, unions for the workers, trade unions, number of trade unions formed for the interest of the workers, for fighting for the workers. Soldiers committees formed for the safety of the interest of army or soldiers. 500 Soviets sent their representatives to all Russia Congress of Soviets. There were a smaller units, a smaller councils across the country. There were 500, as many as 500 such units, and all of them sent their representatives so that country-based Soviet might be formed. पूरे देश के स्तर पर एक सोवियत पार्लियामेंट के रूप में बन सके, इसके लिए रूस में स्थित लगभग 500 सोवियतों ने अपने अपने प्रतिनिधि को भेजा. Provisional government arrested leaders. Once again, clash began between the provisional government and the Bolsheviks led by Lenin. Lenin was the leader of the Bolsheviks. So a number of leaders were arrested. And when demonstrations were held by the Bolsheviks, the provisional government oppressed such demonstrations. ऐसे प्रदर्शनों को दबा दिया, कुचल दिया. Peasants, on the other hand, began to put forward their demands. They wanted the land to be redistributed among them. So they pressurized the government to do so. And land committees were formed for that purpose. Not only this, but later on between July to September 1970, between July 1917 and September 1917, peasants seized the land. कब्जा कर लिया जमीन पर अपने अपने ढंग से. So once again, the revolution held in October 1970. कितने उतार चढ़ाव, ups and downs were observed by the Russians. कितने विद्रोह, कितनी क्रांतियां, जो सत्ता में आ जाए वही निरंकुश बन गया. यह स्थिति थी रूस में. और राजा को हटाया तो प्रोविजनल गवर्नमेंट निरंकुश बन गई. अब इनके साथ संघर्ष शुरू हो गया. रिवोल्ट of October 1970. As I mentioned, there was a conflict between the provisional government and the Bolsheviks. Bolshevik was the dominating party in Russia. Anyway, Lenin succeeded to persuade Petrograd Soviet. There were a number of Soviets across Russia, and such a Soviet was even in the capital city, Petrograd. Lenin persuaded Petrograd Soviet and also his party for a socialist seizure in power. It means Lenin wanted to establish socialist government in Russia, and for that he persuaded his party members and also the Soviet working in the capital. इन दोनों को राजी कर दिया. And he proceeded to target his aim. He proceeded to gain more and more support from all the communities, from all the sections in society. He tried to gain the support of the workers. He tried to gain the support of army. He succeeded in gaining the support of Soviets. Many of the Soviets functioning in the country, and also the factories. A military revolution committee was formed by the Soviet. In short, you can say MRC was formed, and its head was Trotsky. Trotsky was the head of this committee. It was meant for developing a system supporting socialism and finally to establish socialist government in Russia. It was the aim and objective of this committee. That time, Kerensky was the PM, Prime Minister of Russia that time. He left Petrograd. He left the capital city. Troops were summoned. सैनिकों को बुलाया गया. And from both the sides, clash started. On the one hand, military seized buildings of Bolshevik party office, newspaper office or press, I mean, to have a firm control over the Bolsheviks. On the other hand, Bolsheviks also, the supporters of Bolshevik party, surrounded a number of offices, the buildings of ministers, and finally they became victorious. I mean, Bolshevik party became victorious. A number of ministers resigned because they surrendered. There was no option for them other than to surrender. Different military points also taken over by the Bolsheviks. Main military offices were captured by the supporters of Bolshevik party. When the ministers surrendered, there was heavy fighting, and by December 1947, the Bolshevik had complete command over Russia. Especially Moscow, Petrograd area was under the control of Bolshevik first, and then the party began to spread. What happened after this revolution? What changes were observed by the Russians? Changes after revolution, especially after October here, you have to study 1917. Banks and industries. Nationalized. This is a point. While writing, you have to mention that banks and industries were nationalized. The point is in the form of headline. Land. Social property. Land was declared to be social property not private property. Was that clear? Agents were allowed, permitted to seize and cultivate land. Agents were allowed to seize land owned by the nobles, landlords, church. Old titles, and old titles relating aristocracy were completely banned. जो भी पद एरिस्टोक्रेट राजा के समय में प्रचलन में था, सब पर रोक लगा दी गई. Big buildings, big official buildings, or buildings owned by ministers, church, etc., were distributed among the people who were needy. जो जरूरतमंद थे उनके बीच new uniforms were designed for separate identity. अलग पहचान के लिए नए यूनिफॉर्म, सेना के लिए भी नए यूनिफॉर्म. And one more change. Bolshevik party was considered to be renamed Russian Communist Party. So these were the major changes after October 1917 in Russia. Later on, elections were conducted. This party, Russian Communist Party, and the acting assembly rejected this party, or whatever steps had been taken by the party were rejected by the assembly. New elected assembly, in which Russian Communist Party had no majority, rejected all the measures or all the major steps taken by the Bolsheviks. सारे कदमों को, सारे सुधारों को रद्द कर दिया नई असेंबली द्वारा, क्योंकि इसमें इस पार्टी को बहुमत नहीं था. But Lenin, being an ambitious person, couldn't remain quiet. He also took a step and declared the dismissal of assembly. On the one hand, the newly elected assembly rejected all the reforms and changes by the Bolshevik or Russian Communist Party. On the other hand, Lenin declared the dismissal of the assembly. Once again, it was a condition following might is right. जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. In March 1918, there was a treaty between the Bolsheviks led by Lenin and Germany. Russia was fighting against Germany. Under the leadership of Tsar. The Bolsheviks didn't support. They were in favor of withdrawal. So when time came, Lenin put forward a proposal before Germany. So there was a treaty between Germany and the Bolsheviks. दोनों के बीच में एक संधि हुई. रूस ने घोषणा कर दी कि अब उसका युद्ध से कोई वास्ता नहीं है. And thereafter, Bolshevik declared an election. In that election, the Bolshevik got victory, and it was an election to all Russian Congress of Soviets, in which the party won, and the country became one party state. Only communists were allowed to take part in the election. As we have China today, it's a one party state. So was Russia that time. Other parties were declared invalid or they were not allowed to take part in the election. And later on, all the critics, whoever criticized the Communist Party, would be punished by the military, like a dictator. इस पार्टी का शासन था, इस पार्टी की सत्ता थी, इसके खिलाफ जो कोई आवाज बुलंद करता था, वो रूस की सेनाओं ने पनिश कर दी. Questions?